All right, toe yoga. So we're going to get a couple of minutes playing with the toes. First of all, we're going to get Kane. He's going to get his fingers. He's going to interlace them between his feet, getting all the way down to as deep in the knuckle as possible. This can be quite tricky for some. Some people have fatter fingers, but do your best to get fingers as far into your toes as possible and just work them around. All right. You're going to feel a few cricks, a few cracks, a little bit of pain here and there, which is perfectly normal. But just try and move them around as much as possible. Stuck in shoes all day long, these toes are getting really jammed up. So do that for a minute, and then the second minute, we're going to grab each individual toe and just have a play. Move it around, twist it, rotate it, flex, extend, spread, anything you can do with your toes that it probably never normally does. All right, you're going to have a minute of that, 2 minutes total. Make sure you do both sides. Arch builders. So we're trying to build the strength through that inside arch that a lot of people have kind of collapsed arches, flat feet, and we're trying to build that using in our hips and our glutes. So shoulders apart, we're going to push big toe, little toe, heel down to the ground, that tripod position. And then we just do a slight external rotation of the hips, of the legs, and you should feel the arch just come up slightly. Squeeze and hold for 2 seconds. And let it go. Really bring in the glutes, so squeeze your cheeks, hold for a couple seconds, let it go. You should feel and see that arch develop and collapse as you go. Again, little muscles are going to start working that haven't been worked in a while, so embrace that kind of pain, weird feeling. You may get a bit of cramp, again, very normal, it just shows that you're working hard. 25 reps, 2-second holds for each rep. Toe abductions, so we're trying to build the muscle on the inside of our foot, which is going to control the inwards and outwards of the big toe. So standing feet pretty much next to each other, just a little bit of a gap. And ideally those big toes are going to start straight, but for most people we've kind of got that bunion coming on, so they're going to be a little bit angled, which is cool, but it's actually going to help us clap them together to get that abduction. So you want to try and touch the big toes together, relax. Touch together, relax. Okay, doesn't look like you're doing much, but just bringing those toes together is really going to work that inside muscle and going to start to feel a good burn through the inside of that foot, up the little bit of a shin, and build some strength through those toes. Toe tucks. So we're going to get a big stretch in on the top of the foot. Give the top of the foot a bit more love than the bottom normally gets. So going on to one foot, we're crunching the toes underneath, getting a big stretch through the top of the toes there, up through the foot into the ankle. Now this can get a little bit gnarly, so be careful of putting too much load on. Hold on to something if need be, just take a little bit of load off. Can't quite get to that minute, accumulate it, just so you can get there if you can't quite get there all at once. All right, so make sure you hit both sides, but the more you can do this, the more deep you can get into the stretch and the more you can tolerate that stretch. All right. Toe spreaders. So we're going to get some more space between these toes that is taken away from most modern day shoes, squashing those toes together in the toe box. So what we want to try and get is with our toes, is spreading them out as far as we can. Now again, this is not the easiest thing to do. You're going to try very hard up here for not a lot of movement down here. So just getting a bit of movement out to the side is great. Hold for a second or two and relax. Spread. Again, won't move much, especially we don't. Kane doesn't move at all. He needs a bit of work. And just play with it. Again, this will get easier with more repetitions, but biggest thing to do, don't get too frustrated straight away if nothing's working. The fact that the brain is working, it means something is happening, and it's just trying to recreate that connection that most of us have lost. Tip turns. Cool. So we're working those tibialis muscles in a different plane of motion, so more of a rotated position. So leaning against the wall, 1 foot out, sitting on the heel, and Kane's what he's going to do is going to pull little toe all the way over to one side and then push the big toe over to the other side. But we've got to be careful of no rotation through the hip. It is trying to rotate from the knee down. Again, pretty tricky, but take your time with it. But you'll start to feel the muscles either side of the shin really blow up and potentially cramp. Very normal, very good. But we're trying to get that motion from side to side. Big toe down, little toe down. Give that one a go. Arch pronations. So again, use something that you're going to hold on to because not many people are going to do this straight off the bat without some kind of balance. So we're going to come up onto our tiptoes, but we're focusing on coming up first on the pinky. So Ken's going to go up on the pinky, then he's going to pronate across onto his big toe, Pinky's going to come up, and he's going to come back down kind of on the inside arch. Then we're going to reverse it, come up onto the big toe, supinate across onto the pinky, and back down. That's 1 rep. We're doing 25 of these. So there's a lot going on. That's what the balance is here to help with. Take your time and really focus on going up on one side, across, and back down the other. You're going to feel all kinds of muscles working, which is the best thing about it. Couch stretch. So we're trying to open up the front of this whole hip complex. So you can see here with Kane, he's got one knee. Put yourself on a pad just to take some load off the knee. Foot up against the wall. Now ideally the goal is to get this shin flush to the wall, shoulders to the wall. Kane's a bit tight for his hips, just like most of us are, so he's not quite there yet, but we're going to build with this over time. Biggest thing though is got to make sure he's tucking his hips underneath, so he's squeezing his butt, and you'll feel a deeper, intense stretch through the front of that hip. What we can also do, you can do that for a couple of seconds, really squeeze and hold, let it go, rotate, squeeze and hold, on and off, making sure you're breathing, you're not overly doing it, and that's just going to help get a bit more stimulation coming from the glute to help the hip flexor quad muscle release. The more we do this, obviously the more we can get back, the more we can open up the range, the more extension we get in our walking, the more glute function we get, the easier it is to hike. Band pull aparts. So grab yourself a band, not very tight, just need some kind of resistance. And what we're going to be working on is the upper body posture. Getting out of our sedentary lifestyles, in a car, at work, desks, it really puts us in this rolled forward shoulder position. So the muscles on the back here just get pulled forward, become overly weak and overly tight. So with your band, we're grabbing it with an underhand, but we've got to make sure thumb and index finger are the grip. We're not gripping it like this. To activate the right muscles we're looking for, that grip is very, very important. So Kane's got out full extension with his arms. He's not up in his traps. His shoulders are nice and relaxed. And all he's going to do is take some tension and pull apart to the chest and back in, not losing the tension as we come back in. All right, we'll start to feel that rear delt, back of the shoulder here. Bit of rhomboids and a few other muscles going on there. You don't need to know what they are, but they're going to really start pulling the shoulders back. The eventual goal is to get 100 reps, but no one's going to get 100 reps straight up, so break it up. 5 sets of 25, nope, 5 sets of 20, 4 sets of 25, 3 sets of 33, whatever you feel like you can do without breaking that form.